everyone, welcome back to my channel All Sorted, and in this video we are going to have the top 3 tips for detailed application form, the DAF, and the top 3 tips for the personal interview of TISS Mumbai HRM LR. These tips are coming from the students of HRM LR batch of 2021. My friends from my batch, I have personally requested them to share their tip. There is a word of caution here. They have shared their tips that work for them and that helped them sail through the interview, and also myself. These are not the right answer for all the questions that you wanted to know. These are just basic guidelines that you can follow for the DAF and the personal interview that can maybe help you sail through the interview and finally get into this course. So guys, take all these advice with a pinch of salt. I hope these guidelines help you in some way. Do not blindly follow them. Okay, just take whatever you find is logical for you. I also thank all my friends who have contributed to these tips for the interviews and the DAF. All my batchmates who have contributed to this video. Thank you so much. So guys,
hello everyone, I am Pralekha and I am from 2021 batch. Don't take it as a tip, but consider it as my personal experience, the things that I have done while preparing for the DAF and for the PI, and it worked for me. For the DAF, first I have written it in third person. Writing in first person, I believed would have appeared as only my opinion of myself. Second, wherever I used adjective, I tried to prove that with an example. Suppose you write, you are a hardworking person. Now try to state one situation where you have proved that you are hardworking. Third, while answering why HR, I tried to connect it with personal experiences. So experience always sounds unique, and it's an important attribute for dev. What are the 3 things that I have done for PI and it worked for me? First is I did not lie. I know I stutter when I'm being cross-questioned. Second is if you are a working professional, so I was a working professional back then during my PI, so I tried to go through the performance management, rewards and benefits of the organization that I was working for, and I was asked 1 or 2 questions on that. Third, I went through labor laws, not on the depth but on the surface level. So for you, especially, I think the recent codification of labor laws would be an important topic where you can expect a certain question.
Hello everyone. My 3 tips for interview. First, your resume. You should own your resume. Anything that you wrote in your resume or in your DAF, you should know the in and out of it. That should not have been the case where you wrote something in your resume or DAF and you are not able to answer questions related to that. Second, be structured in your answer. It may happen that you are not able to structure your answers properly. In those cases, tell the panel to give a 1 or 2 minute break so that you can properly structure the question in your mind. You can search in the web for any of the frameworks that are used by many of the successful students to structure their answers. Third, and probably the most important, be confident and at the same time avoid making random guesses. If you don't know the answer of anything, say that you don't know. And you can say that if during the course of interview you happen to know about it or remember about it, you will definitely share tips for DAF. First, use keywords. An institution like this looks for certain characteristics from its students. Example, honesty, integrity, social awareness, etc. While you should try to showcase these in your answers, use these keywords or other words like this in your answers so that those who are reading it can make a connection out of it. Second, use examples. Stories are easy to understand and they leave an impact, but they must have a proper flow in them. Example, what was the context? What was the problem that you faced? What did you do? And the most important, what was the net result? You can look in the internet for some frameworks like STAR, etc. Third point, maintain consistency in your answers. That is, for example, in one answer, if you show that you are someone who goes for out-of-the-box thinking, then in the next answer you should, or in the coming answer, that should not be shown that you are someone who follows a set path. That is, never create a contradiction in your answers. All the best.
Yeah, so with regards to the interview, 3 things I'd like to point is be very thorough with your resume. If you have done any project in your organization, so what was your contribution to it? What value addition did you bring to the table? So that would be one thing. Be very thorough with your undergrad subjects. There's a chance they could ask some technical questions as well. and read up on the current affair events, like in the past 3-4 months, what has happened in business, what has happened in the economy. So something around that part. And if you don't have any work experience, then what kind of co-curricular activities did you participate, and what was your contribution to it? So yeah, something around that part.
In detailed application form, while answering why HR question, you should always start with why you want to enter the management field first, and then going for 2-3 sentences of why you want to pursue this course in TISS. It gives a good flow to the answer from generic to specific, and also more clarity to the panelist about the candidate's choice. While writing the biographical sketch, you should always remember that it should depict your overall personality and not just some facts about you. Demonstrate some qualities like decision making, reasoning, and critical thinking through your stories that you write. It may also include your hobbies and pastime interests. In this section where they ask for unaccounted period, you can always write gap if you have any, without any hesitation, because that is not the judging criteria as far as I understand it. In personal interviews, it is always good to have short answers but meaningful answers. Analysts don't mind if you ask for more time to frame the answers. If you want more clarity on the questions, just ask and reflect simply before the panelists that is this you want to say, is this you want to ask, and never assume things by yourself and answer the questions. In opinion based questions, always balance the answer with positives and negatives, and always give the way forward to the answers. This is useful especially when they ask social questions. For example, they ask me about education state of India, so I put positives and negatives of that, and then give a positive way forward that how we can improve upon those things which are not good.
Tips for DAF according to me. First of all, I wrote my DAF in the first person format because I was comfortable in first person and not that Akhil is someone is like this, he is doing that. I was comfortable in first person, so I wrote in that. Some people write in third person, that's their choice. But the thing was, I was completely honest in my DAF. That is one thing, because then I was confident, ask me anything on my DAF. Point number 2, I took time to reflect on my past, the major transformations that I had in my life. Because I had worked for 2 years, I then switched my careers. Why did I switch it? What I learned from it. I revisited my past, took a lot of time, 1-2 days to understand what were the major shifts in my thinking, what were the major circumstances. So that was the point number 2, I revisited my past. So point number 3, I wrote my DAF in a very story-like format. Okay, it should have a flow. The person reading it shouldn't get bored and just leave it in between. Because the story is something that binds the audience or the person who is looking at the DAF. He would want to know, acha, aage kya hua? So I wrote my DAF in a story format, right from starting my engineering and then what experiences I had, my inclination towards HR and everything that was all true, because then I could be confident in my thoughts. So completely be honest. That's my point. So guys, my 3 tips for the final interview, for the personal interview. First, connected my work experience with the HR inclination that I had. So I had worked for 3 years, I had a work experience of 3 years. Whatever experiences I had about HR, what I understood about that field, how I got inclined towards that. Not literally HR, actually like human psychology and human behavior, and wanted to create an impact for people. So that was my story and my interest of how I got an interest in HR. Point number 2, I talked to a lot of HR folks in my previous organizations. I also understood what an HR does, what are the qualities of a good HR, and are those qualities in me? So somehow I highlighted those qualities which should be ideal qualities in an HR and connected that to the interview. Third is brush up the basics about HR by talking to people, reading articles on HR, reading about labor laws basics. Now labor laws has been codified into new labor laws. Please read that. you should have some inclination. Read book summaries of HR. If you cannot read all the book, you can just Google top HR books, and you can then search for that book summary. So short summary of that book. You can go through that summary, and that can really help you. I kept a smile throughout my interview that lasted for 30-35 minutes. I was cool, I was calm, I was confident. So 3 C's: cool, calm and confident. And that's how you can create a very good impression. So yeah, these are my 3 tips for DAF and interview.